There appears to be a lot of information out here in regards to MJF, and now WWE is reportedly in the mix. Some very interesting stories have been posted. Also, we are going to provide an update on the Wrestling Entertainment Series promotion because it appears that the event could be canceled or even postponed. At this point, it's a very, very interesting situation. And also, guys, we got to talk about those WWE Women's Tag Team Championship belts. Spoiler alert, in this video, I'm not playing nice. I'm just being completely honest with you guys. So we're going to kick off with those Women's Tag Team Championship belts because honestly, this is just ridiculous. So apparently WWE, you know, they made the decision to strip Sasha Banks and Naomi from those tag titles. And WWE said on air how they were unprofessional and all of these different things. And again, that was WWE, you know, feeding lines to the commentary team. And it was very, very clear that commentary was put in an awkward position with all of this since the two had walked out. Now, what's very interesting is this past week, there's been a lot of talk about those Women's Tag Team Championship belts. And basically what's come out so far from Meltzer and Alvarez is that this women's tag team tournament is essentially dead. There's not a word about it, and it doesn't appear that WWE has any idea what they're doing in regards to these tag team championship belts. And, you know, I have to criticize WWE here. These are championship belts, okay? Not toys. Like, these aren't props. These are championship belts in a company. Yes, it is scripted, and yes, it is television, and yes, there's storylines. But at the end of the day, they tell the entire world that they have these tag team championship belts that are going to be defended in a tournament, and then there's no follow-up with it. WWE advertises Lacey Evans for WWE Raw and doesn't mention anything about it when she doesn't show up. At the end of the day, WWE needs to understand that when you are telling your audience you are going to do something, you have to fall through on your promise. This is one of the biggest issues that I've had with AEW. This is one of the biggest issues I've had with WWE. These companies cannot tell you something and do the opposite. Whether it's the matches, whether it's something that they're advertising, or whether it's something that's happening within their company. If they tell you they are going to be a certain type of company and then not follow through on it, it's very misleading. And I think the World Women Tag Team Championship belts should be treated importantly, but they're not viewed important from WWE, and therefore, as a viewer, I don't find it to be important. So am I shocked that WWE made this decision and pretty much did absolutely nothing with it? No, I'm not shocked. I expected it, because what the hell has WWE done with these belts since they've actually brought these belts to television? But here's the thing. This could have been a good opportunity for WWE to press the reset button and to really start caring about this division. But if WWE doesn't care about their men's tag team division, if they don't care about their women's tag team division, and these championship belts are just gone, I mean, for WWE, they probably don't view it as a big deal, but I'm sure there's people out there who do. And I just think it's really unprofessional for WWE to not necessarily have plans on it. And I just think it's silly. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people out there who need TV time. They don't have TV time. They're not going to be able to compete against Ronda or Bianca Belair. Why not create an actual tag team division and get people on TV? As we all know, Vince McMahon reportedly does not like tag team wrestling, and it's obviously apparent in 2022. All right, guys, I want to talk about Wrestling Entertainment Series. As you guys know, I've been covering this. Adam Scherr versus Alistair Overeem. We had Legion of Pain, which was formerly known as AOP, against Steve Macklin and Wesley Blake. Look, guys, this had a very, very nice card, honestly. A lot of people from WWE that were released were on this card. And then you had Nia Jax, and you had Lana, who was set to return. And basically what ended up happening was Fight TV, who is hosting the pay-per-view, had actually come out with a tweet and said, hey, like, check it out this Saturday. It's the debut. Chelsea Green had responded to the tweet saying, actually, it's canceled. And then essentially what happened was Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham basically came out and said, hey, it's been postponed. It's actually been rescheduled for July, the 9th of July, 2022. Now, what was really, really interesting here is how everything has kind of gone down, because a lot of people don't really understand what's actually happening here. So for those who don't know, the event was actually originally supposed to take place in the UAE, and then I believe their president had died, and then after that it got moved to Nottingham, which is obviously a very, very big change on a short period of time. And then now there's stuff happening out there, which is preventing the event from going on. So at the end of the day, this is one of those things where I hope it actually goes through. It's a very, very ambitious goal to try to sell. And these tickets aren't cheap, to be honest, but you know, they're trying to sell a lot of tickets in a big arena. They're not WWE, they're not AEW, but they got a really good cast of wrestlers. So I want this to go through. I want this to be successful. They're going to crown new champions. Getting Aleister Overeem is a good thing. You know, it's just one of those things where I feel like wrestling needs more companies to be out there. And let's just face it, these guys don't have the capital that WWE or AEW have. So it's a very, very ambitious goal. I hope this is the last that we hear of any sort of postponement or anything like that. I hope in July this show goes off very successfully, and hopefully everything remains to be the same. And I'll keep you guys updated along the way. But for now, don't get excited because it's not happening this week. All right, guys, and now I want to turn our attention to MJF. Very, very, very crazy stuff happening with MJF. As you guys know, a lot of people are talking about this. I'm going to keep you updated on this because it is the big story. But today, we're not actually talking that much about AEW. We're talking a lot about WWE because apparently WWE is still reportedly willing to offer top money for MJF. And it is apparent, we'll see how this goes, but apparently Vince McMahon is not deterred by these backstage issues. So we're going to get into that in just a second. But one thing that was really interesting was Wade Keller had detailed the issues between MJF and Tony Khan. And basically, you know, I think what this really comes down to, guys, is a ton of WWE guys are coming in. MJF is getting paid less than them. And when it comes to the statistics, when it comes to the numbers, MJF is drawing the highest amount of viewership for AEW when he is on the screen. So what this really, really comes down to now is whether or not MJF and AEW will come to an agreement, which is always possible. I've said before, I would prefer to see MJF in AEW. I think that's where he's going to flourish. I actually enjoy MJF in AEW more than I enjoy CM Punk in AEW. I enjoy a lot of people in AEW who don't come from WWE because I like to see something that makes them the alternative. You know, when I see all these WWE wrestlers, I'm just not a big fan of it. I have nothing against people who enjoy it. I think you need to have a little bit of a mixture between the two, obviously. But I think the conversation of the four pillars of AEW, it's no longer relevant anymore. And I think that kind of sucks. And, you know, when it comes down to WWE, I think there's a lot of people who think MJF will fail in WWE, and you can form your own opinions on that. But if Vince McMahon is willing to shell out the money, if he's willing to pay for MJF, I'm not telling you I'm going to get excited for WWE getting MJF, but what I'm hoping for is that WWE being interested in MJF will basically get Tony Khan to open up his eyes and realize that he has a star in his company. And you have to make your stars happy, and you have to realize the things that piss off your other talent. You know, I used to say all the time, there's going to come a point in time where AEW talent will get fed up with the signings. And it seems like now more than ever, the talk on the internet is that talent are upset about it. Is that true? I don't know. A lot of talent, you know, they don't talk about this publicly, but I would assume that if other people were coming in, getting opportunities, getting more money, and I've been there since day one, and I'm not getting opportunity, I'm not being on TV, I'm being pushed aside, it would piss me off. So it's a very, very shitty situation, but ultimately I hope that MJF and AEW get this figured out, because at the end of the day, I think they are the better pairing for both, you know, and we'll see what happens.